Hello, welcome to the live stream. This is Johnny Ball with another episode of the Daily Present. Today, I'm following on from talking yesterday about the strategy of appearing on podcasts to help build you up and preparing yourself for doing that and how to get yourself on some great shows. So I want to continue with that and really today talk about how to actually prepare yourself when it comes time to be on the podcast that you want to be on. So your show is about to come up. You have the appointment booked in. You may be doing a live stream or you might be doing a recording. You might be doing a Zoom call. However it is you're setting it up, you want to make sure that you're ready for it. That's what we're going to be talking about on today's Daily Present. Stay tuned. We'll be getting to more of that just after the titles. See you in a moment. Welcome to the Daily Present with Johnny Ball. Monday to Friday, talking about public speaking and presentation skills and the tools of influence and persuasion. Dance along now.
Wow! Come on, groove along. That's it, baby. I know you.
Well, hello, welcome to the show. And today I said I'm going to talk about preparing yourself for your podcast appearances. So you may already be appearing on podcasts as a guest, or it may be something that you're thinking about doing and that you would like to do more of. And I want to help you be as prepared as possible for those appearances based on my own experiences being a guest on shows, and also for the guests that I bring onto my shows, who not everyone's always as prepared as everyone else. And some of that is just because you don't know what you don't know. So I want to help make sure you do know what you need to know in order to be as prepared as possible. Now, if you're not already following me on social media and the likes, then please do at least make sure you're following me on YouTube. The place to do that is Present Influence. Look for me under Present Influence on YouTube. Let's see if we can get that to work. So click on Present Influence in YouTube, give us a like on one of our videos, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell icon as well. That way you'll get notified every time we go live or that a video gets posted up. So you'll not only get notified of podcast episodes that are coming out, but also educational videos and other streams that are going out here, there, and everywhere. Plenty of activity going on there, and I hope you'll join us for that. A lot of value in that channel. So first of all, then, let's get into talking about being prepared for your show. There are some things that you need to make sure that you check. And the first one is your tech setup. So please make sure that you have decent microphone and headphones for your podcast appearances. Now, a lot of people do tend to put themselves on speaker when they do podcasts. There can be issues, though, with feedback and sound on that. So for the best sound quality, and remember, this is podcasting, your sound quality is super important. So for the best sound quality, make sure you do have headphones plugged in. It doesn't need to be a super high-tech set. But look, I have what's actually called a monitor in my ear, and that's plugged directly into my microphone. And it just allows me to hear, but it also means that my guests who may be speaking on the show you're not hearing them back through my microphone, creating that echo, that feedback that can be really irritating in terms of when you're tuning into a show. So avoid that as best you can. Your mobile phone headphones that came with your phone, they may well be good enough just to get you through, but please do that for improving the sound quality. And please use, and I said this yesterday, but please use any other microphone than your built-in microphones. Even just a cheap plug-in microphone, it might be 10, 15, 20, up to maybe 40 euros, pounds, dollars, whatever your budget is. Please make sure you have a decent microphone, better than just the one that's inbuilt. It will make a huge difference to your sound quality as well. So first of all, make sure that you have the video and the headphones as set up as well as you can, and some kind of good, better microphone. Then make sure you have a decent camera as well. Your computer webcam or your phone camera is maybe adequate. It's serviceable, but if you can you don't have to have the top of the line camera set up, but if you do, great. If you don't, just a simple cheap webcam will probably do the trick. And for up to 100 euros or pounds, you can get a pretty decent HD webcam that will do a good job. Right now, this is being filmed on webcam. It looks okay. And so you don't need to go super high budget for that, but it is going to make a difference to how you look on camera, and that matters. Please also plug yourself into the Ethernet if you can. If you can plug directly from your computer, your laptop, into the router that you're using, it's going to make a big difference to your connection. A lot of the services that are used for recording podcasts use up a fair bit of bandwidth, in which case your connection is being as strong as possible is going to be really helpful to you and to your podcast host as well. So the next thing to think about is applying your filters, and that's like things like making sure that you have at least brushed your hair, that you look like you are ready to be on a show. And whilst a lot of podcasts are audio only, more and more people are making the switch to vodcast. So you'll see that a lot of shows are going out as video as well now. I even believe that there are plans that Spotify have to have more podcasters being able to upload video in there at the moment. They're working on that capability as well. So video podcasting, or vodcasting as it's become known, is a thing. And it's going to probably become more of a thing as we go along. So you'll find more and more that people are using this for their shows. So be prepared for that. And even so, even if you're not actually going to be going out on video, you will feel better if you've made yourself look and feel good in preparation for that. And so it's like, if you're on lockdown, if you've been stuck at home and you're doing it in your jammies, you're gonna feel a different energy than you would if you've actually put on your best professional clothes, whatever your professional image is suited to you, whether that's relaxed or formal or somewhere in between, and prepare yourself. Now, whilst I think hair and makeup is a good thing to do, not all the guys are going to use makeup. Some might, and whoever uses makeup, more than welcome to do it. But a lot of people don't want the bother, so you may want something that I use, which is these oil blotting pads. They just help to take the shine off your skin. They're just bits of paper that absorb the oil of the skin. You can wipe that off, and you lose a lot of that shine that you sometimes get off your lights, and that can make a big improvement to how you look on camera as well. But please make sure you do also have the clothes that are appropriate for the image that you want to present. So I'll just give you an example. So yesterday I was talking to a potential guest and saying to him, "No, let's send me some photos." And what do you want? He said, "What do you want? Do you want quirky? Do you want serious?" I want what best represents you. And we said, "Well, they're all me. They're all me." It was like, what represents your personality? Think about that with your clothing. Think about that with how you show up at the actual event, and the photos that you use, particularly if you have a media kit put together. Which pictures actually give an accurate representation of who you are and how you want to be perceived by your audience? I think you'll find that's a critical factor that not everyone considers. If your photo is super serious, but you're actually a really funny and humorous speaker, then that's not particularly representative. If your photo is super formal, but you're actually very relaxed and casual, again, it's not really representing you. So it's not doing you any favors. Please make sure that the images make sense. This is your branding that we're talking about here. So the next thing to think about is your environment. So make sure your environment is prepared for podcasting. And so one of the things that is most important is to make sure your environment is going to be as quiet as possible. That might require putting a do not disturb sign on your door. If you're working from home, maybe you need to let anyone else who might be at home know, whether that's your family or whether it's the cleaner. Whoever it is, just let them know that you are in a recording and you're not to be disturbed, and please keep any noise to an absolute minimum. So that's super important. It doesn't matter if you don't have a soundproofed room. Not everyone does. You don't necessarily need to go into your closet. Some people will do that for their shows. Any kind of sound insulation that you can put up that isn't going to interfere with your performance or be too much of a hassle will help, but it's not critical. Do look for your lighting as well. The more important the video becomes in podcasting, as it will, as we call it, vodcasting, the more important it is for you to have some decent lighting. And again, you don't have to go high budget on this. A few simple light fixes, just make sure you've got the best light possible. Please make sure if you're using a natural background, you don't have an open window behind you, because if it's daytime, it just makes it really hard to see anything. It creates glare on the screen and you become almost invisible as the guest. And it's very distracting. It actually hurts people's eyes. People are going to stop watching that because it's difficult to look at. So please make sure you don't have natural light behind you. If you can, one of the best ways, if you don't want to spend any money on lighting and you're doing your recordings in the day, is to make sure you have natural light in front of you. Now, sometimes that might be a bit bright. It depends where you live or how cloudy the weather is, but it might just be enough. You want it to look natural and not too shiny on your face. You want to be as attractive as you can make yourself be on camera. So do yourself a favor here. And remember, your image that you put out into the world is really important. Your personal brand is really important. And so you are the representative of your brand. And it's important for you to show up that way and look that way wherever you go, whatever you're doing, and not to keep things too casual, even if the podcast is very different. Now, I will say as well that beyond lighting as well, you may have some mess in your environment, especially if you've got kids at home or something like that. They're not always clean. They're not always tidy. Sometimes you have to work through the mess. So long as so long as you can't see that on the camera, I think you'll be okay. So please try to make sure your setup is avoiding any kind of mess or any disturbing background. If your background is too busy, if there's some really, like say you've got a really beautiful piece of artwork behind you, for example, and that's going to be really distracting people. People might start looking at that instead of looking at you. That's not what you want. Now, art's fine to have behind you, but something subtle, something that isn't going to be distracting. One of the best pieces of advice I got on this, especially this is for doing Zoom calls, but it's just as relevant here, was to have if you're going to have a real background, have a plant behind you. Now, you can see in this background, which isn't real, by the way, this background has a plant in the background, as well as this sort of home office setup. It's a stock photo from Ecamm Live. And so, you do have this choice as well of having a real or a virtual background. And so some people prefer to have a real fixed background or a particular place where they do this, where you found somewhere where the lighting's great, etc. Great, use that. If you prefer to have a virtual background, or you like to be able to change your backgrounds and have some different images from time to time, please do consider getting a green or blue screen. You sometimes get these screens that flip between them. It makes a huge difference. It vastly improves the look of your green screen, of your virtual background. So you'll see sometimes people who are using virtual backgrounds who don't have that, and the picture looks dodgy, and sometimes it'll flicker in and out, or you'll see they move and bits disappear, and it looks messy. So please do get yourself a virtual background, a green screen or blue screen background, to help your backgrounds look better. Make sure that your environment around you looks as good as possible. One important thing here as well is make sure that the camera isn't below eye level. So many people come on interviews and look, they either have their heads right down, or they have their camera looking right up their noses, and that's not good. I don't want to count your nose hairs whilst I'm watching an interview with you. So please make sure your camera is in a sensible position. Slightly above eye level is probably optimal, and of course directly in front of you, and so not looking too far down on you, but certainly not looking up your nose. Those are really important things to consider when you're guesting, and not everyone thinks about it, because sometimes you just think, well, that's how I go on my Zoom meetings. Let's give you a bonus tip here as well. One that I do before every show I go on, and even before doing this show. It's the reason why I have some lively dance music at the start of the show. Get your energy up and smile. It makes a huge difference to how you show up, how you're perceived. Look, unless you're going on to talk about serious, somber topics, you maybe don't want to have too high energy going into that. But for most appearances that you're going to make, it's great to go in with a good energy, not hyper, just good. Feeling good, smiling, welcoming, warm, and create that rapport with the host of the show that you're going on, or maybe hosts if it's more than one person. I think these are some of the best things you can do to make sure you're as prepared as possible for being on podcasts. So tomorrow, I'm going to talk about media kits and preparing yourself a media kit, because I know a lot of people don't have them. So please join me tomorrow if you'd like to know more about media kits. I'm going to come on probably roughly about the same time. Look, around 10:30 CET time, I should be on tomorrow and talking about media kits. I'm doing some prep for that today as well. Make sure I cover all bases so that I can talk with some insight. And I'm actually putting together a new media kit for myself as well. So I'll give you some insights into that too. So I hope you can join me for that, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to like and subscribe, and make sure you follow me on social media. Check out my other shows, Speaking of Influence and Points of Change. And wherever you are, have an amazing day. Time to get back to work.